Right now, a Belleville Village Board member under fire, the backlash she's facing over comments about those with special needs.
News 3 now sat down with Madison's interim police chief. We'll share his top priorities for the department.
And a former WWE superstar makes his way to Wisconsin. We'll hear how his new beer holds up against the state's other brands. It's all coming up on News 3 now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. We have rain, snow, and wind in the forecast for tomorrow, something the First Warn weather team started talking about last week.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington now joins us now from the weather patio with more on what we can expect. Alex?
Eric and Sarah, and first to let you know we have changes to our alert day forecast. Let's get right to the graphics right now. Still expecting the possibility of a few strong storms, but tracking the potential for the rain to change over to snow earlier in parts of southern Wisconsin as we go into later Wednesday afternoon, going into Wednesday night. Let's talk about the thunderstorm threat first here, because that will likely start our day. Scattered showers and thunderstorms. Don't be surprised to get some small hail out of some of those thunderstorms Wednesday morning going into Wednesday afternoon. Notice temperatures I have dropped from significantly from our 4, 5, and 6 o'clock newscasts. High of 43 now in Madison, 46 in Janesville, and that will be early as temperatures fall throughout the day. And that means an earlier transition quite likely from heavy rain and the thunderstorms over to snow. So we're keeping a very, very close eye on that, because the changeover is key as colder air is expected, with the weather system tracking just a little bit further to the south. And we're watching that earlier transition of rain over to snow that could mean a little bit more in the way of snow accumulation. We'll use Future Track to show you that changeover and the expected snowfall totals in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Alex. A Belleville Village Board trustee is under fire for making comments many deemed insensitive about the disabled community. Those comments were made during a March 3rd meeting with the Belleville superintendent about the school referendum.
And now Belleville community members, teachers, and parents are all standing up for those with special needs. Our Meryl Hubbard walks us through what happened.
It all started here at the beginning of March with a Belleville Village Board meeting where members were listening to a presentation from the Belleville superintendent. Now, while the Village Board has no control over what happens at the school, one trustee raised comments on what she believes should happen with special education.
I have to say, what would happen to our special ed program if we said, you need to go elsewhere?
That was Village Board trustee Maxine Ward, where she spoke about what she saw on a school tour years ago.
This was a young man that rode a tricycle, an overlarge tricycle, up and down the hall, screaming to the top of his voice, and trying to teach a class was ridiculous. And that's a part of the special ed, which I'm sorry I have a hard time dealing with.
Ward's words spread fast thanks to social media. But when Lori Lloyd saw the video,
I realized that she was talking about Jacob. Our Jacob is known because he has his bike.
Her son Jacob Lloyd used to deliver papers to classrooms on his tricycle as part of his IEP. He's now 23 and been out of school for the past 3 years.
It felt like being punched in the gut. It felt like a direct attack on Jacob, and that's hard. It's really hard, especially when he can't defend himself.
Jacob has Coffin-Sirer syndrome, where he's unable to function on his own. His family normally speaks for him, but this time
I realized I wasn't alone. All these parents are standing with us.
Monday's Village Board meeting brought in a full house. It began with Trustee Ward addressing her previous comments.
First and foremost, I want to apologize if I offended anyone at our last meeting. That was not my intention. I was thinking about the budget and school referendum. And again, I did not intend to offend anyone.
Then Jacob's dad, David Lloyd, took the stand.
People with disabilities deserve consideration from our trustees. And I want to inform you that you've lost our trust. And on April 16th, we're going to start a process to recall and replace you.
The Village Board and Trustee Ward declined to give additional comment on camera. But Jacob's mom hopes their message with the recall is clear.
Disabled people deserve to take up space. They deserve to be in our community and not hidden away. And they deserve to be enjoyed and loved on.
Now, Lori tells me that they would need more than 300 signatures to start the recall, and she believes they can get there. Reporting in Belleville, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Meryl, thank you. Now, Ward was just elected in April of last year. She'll be eligible for recall next month. She also has the option, of course, of resigning from her position.
Madison police say they arrested a suspect in connection with a stabbing on State Street over the last weekend. The stabbing happened at 11 o'clock Saturday morning, not too far from the Chocolate Shop ice cream. Police say 2 people got in a fight. One pulled out a sharp object and stabbed the other. Officers later found a box cutter on the scene. The victim is expected to recover from injuries, and the department says it will release the suspect's name and charges after they are booked at a county jail.
Well, the acting chief of the Madison Police Department sharing some of his top priorities for the job and whether he'd like to fill the role permanently. News 3 Now sat down with interim chief John Patterson for the first time since he replaced former chief Sean Barnes. And Patterson says mental health and overdose prevention remain top priorities for the department. Over the years, MPD has changed how it responds to many of those calls. That includes the CARES program, which addresses behavioral health emergencies by integrating medical health care right away, and the Madison Area Addiction Recovery Initiative aimed at people who commit nonviolent drug offenses. Now, the goal is to connect them with treatment resources rather than just putting them behind bars.
The good news is our overdose deaths have been going down, and that's been seen nationwide, which is fantastic. But mental health and how we respond to mental health calls is constantly evolving. We're constantly fine-tuning our response.
Now, we asked Patterson if he's open to being chief permanently. He says that is something he's considering as the process moves forward. To see our full interview with Patterson, you can go to channel3000.com.
Early voting is now open for the April 1st election. This comes after 193 absentee ballots went uncounted in 3 Madison wards back in November. The city's deputy clerk is reassuring voters that they can trust the process now. You can find a full list of in-person absentee voting sites on the City of Madison's website. The last day for in-person absentee voting is Sunday, March 30th at some locations. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court race continues to draw attention from across the country, and this spotlight comes with a mighty price tag. According to the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, total spending in this race is over $29 million for independent expenditures as of yesterday. Now, that is more than 100% increase compared to this same day in 2023. Those groups are often bankrolled by billionaires and not constrained by any spending limits.
The situation is so absurd and Musk is so arrogant that he is even intervening in a Supreme Court election right here in the state of Wisconsin.
We're having the resources we need to get our message out.
Susan Crawford has raised nearly $7.4 million, and Brad Schimmel is just under $5 million. In independent expenditure spending, conservatives are at about $21.4 million, while liberals are just under $8 million.
A large line was formed in Beaver Dam today with several hundred people hoping to meet Hulk Hogan.
News 3 Now's Kyle Pozorski has more on what this visit was for.
The former professional wrestler and controversial public figure has been making his way through Wisconsin as part of the Real American Beer Tour to promote the beer and meet with fans. The Hogan faithful forming a line stretching to the back of a Quick Trip Tuesday, all in hopes to meet the man many have come to idolize.
We just love him.
Childhood hero of ours.
Once inside, the dream becoming reality.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
Hogan spending the roughly 2 hours signing hats as well as packs of beer as a way to promote the relatively new brand, only launching in June of last year. This fan telling me that while Hogan has been retired for many years, he's still a household name, saying that making the trip from eastern Iowa was well worth it.
If you ask a random person on the street name a wrestler, good chance like their first guess will be Hulk Hogan. Is that all in all a good trip?
And as it turns out, beyond just the nostalgia factor of seeing the superstar, one Madison brewer says the beer can hold its own.
It is delicious.
Garth Beyer is a certified Cicerone or beer geek.
It's got a little bit of sweetness to it and a slight hop character bite, but much more on a little bit of the sweetness side of things when it comes to flavor.
He says to his trained tongue, the product shows a large amount of care put into it.
So they know what they're doing. They've done this for copious amounts of other brands, other celebrities, etc., and they're good at making good beer.
Real American Beer is currently brewed in 2 Wisconsin breweries, one in both Stevens Point and La Crosse. Hogan's Real American Beer Tour continues Wednesday with more stops taking place in southeastern Wisconsin. Reporting in Beaver Dam, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And to find the times for tomorrow's other events, you could just go to the story on channel3000.com.
You were a Hulkamaniac back in the day, right? Watched all that wrestling stuff back.
Okay. Yeah. Can't believe
Yeah, brother.
You would say that. Anyway, still to come on News 3 Now at 10. More serious news. President Trump works with Russia to secure peace in Ukraine.
And a big piece of news today. 2 astronauts splashing down in the Atlantic What the pair will have to do to get used to life back on Earth again. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
2 astronauts that were stranded in space are finally home.
The pair took off as part of a 4-person crew for a 17-hour flight back to Earth. Butch Wilmore, Sonny Williams spent more than 9 months on the International Space Station. This afternoon, the Starliner astronauts splashed down off the Florida coast. Wilmore and Williams will now undergo medical evaluations and quarantine as they reintegrate to life on Earth.
There might be some nausea, some dizziness, some vertigo, and your bones and your muscles are getting used to that loading as you stand up and walk around.
Well, in all, the duo orbited the Earth more than 4,500 times. They traveled about 121 million miles. That is some frequent flyer miles, folks. Williams and Wilmore's replacement crew, I'm sure they were excited. They launched on Friday from Kennedy Space Center.
In other news, President Trump spent the morning trying to get Russia to agree to a peace deal with Ukraine. The president spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin for more than 2 hours. The Kremlin said Russia agreed to a prisoner exchange, swapping 175 Ukrainian soldiers for an equal number of their own. The White House says Putin ordered a 30-day ceasefire on energy and infrastructure targets.
The fact that a nuclear power plant is a contested object in a war that involves live ammunition being fired and explosives is extremely concerning.
In addition to the call with Putin, President Trump spent part of the day railing against the federal judge who ordered the administration to stop deportation flights carried out using the Wartime Alien Enemies Act. 2 IRS whistleblowers were promoted by the Trump administration. Gary Shapley has been upgraded to Deputy Chief of the IRS Criminal Investigations Division, and Joseph Ziegler will now be a senior advisor for IRS reform. Shapley and Ziegler went public 2 years ago, claiming the Justice Department prevented them from investigating Hunter Biden's tax crimes.
The Trump administration plans to cut the EPA's science-focused Office of Research and Development. That office provides scientific expertise for federal environmental regulations and also during times of disaster cleanup. According to White House documents, more than 1,000 employees, that's 75% of the staff, could be fired. Staffers say the EPA documents discuss reassigning remaining employees to other parts of the agency. Thousands of Social Security workers are taking buyouts as the Trump administration downsizes the government. The agency said nearly 2,500 workers signed up to receive up to $25,000 through a voluntary separation incentive payment. The agency wants to cut its staff by 7,000 positions. That would be about 12% of its workforce.
Well, snow is now on the way for southern Wisconsin.
But we got to listen up here because Alex has really been trying to pinpoint exactly what's going to happen here. And it has changed since 6, Alex.
It has changed since 6. We had an increase in snow totals for parts of southern Wisconsin. I will explain why, but we also still have the isolated storm threat as well. Some strong storms still not out of the realm of possibility for Wednesday going into Wednesday night. Let's start off what has changed here. The changeover is key to us getting snow in southern Wisconsin, and the storm system is tracking just a little bit further to the south. Colder air is expected in southern Wisconsin, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on watching that earlier transition of rain over to snow, and that means a little bit more in the form of snow totals across southern Wisconsin. Taking the high temperature from 50 down to 43. That's likely going to happen during the early morning hours of Wednesday with steady temperatures early. And then those 30s to the north are going to crash towards the south and towards the east. The warmer temperatures look like they're going to stay to the south over portions of northern Illinois, and that's where the more appreciable severe weather threat will be. Still tracking thunderstorms, though, for the first part of the day from 6 a.m. to about noon. Don't be surprised to get some small hail out of these thunderstorms that might rattle on the window a bit. As we head from 12 o'clock in the afternoon to about 4 or 5 o'clock, the rain snow line is getting closer to Madison by about 1 to 3 hours. Heavy snow to the north and west, Dells, Camp Douglas, Richland Center, Lone Rock, Boscobel, Viroqua, having heavy snow by the time we get to 5 o'clock. The thunderstorms and the heavy rain towards the south and towards the east. And then that snow line rapidly presses off to the south and east, continuing till about 6 o'clock or so Thursday morning. So that slightly south track, just a little bit further to the south, still looking at widespread 1 to 4 inches, but a band to the north and west up towards Camp Douglas, maybe isolated 4, 5, 6-inch amounts. And then another band looks like it's trying to form here with the latest future track updates stretching from, let's say, Darlington up to Madison, up to Beaver Dam, where we could be picking up 2, 3, 4, maybe a localized spot a little bit higher than that. Again, we have a lot of water in this weather system, and just a tiny change in those temperatures increases those snow totals, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. Any snow that we get tomorrow will be also with very strong winds, and that's going to reduce visibilities. The timing of the peak adverse travel conditions will be from 4 p.m. Wednesday through about 6 a.m. on Thursday, and you can expect some slick travel. We can't forget about the potential for an isolated severe storm. Hail would be the main threat here in southern Wisconsin. Small marble size, maybe an isolated quarter-sized inch hailstone during the afternoon hours. That's a lot of information. Let's recap it here. Daybreak Wednesday through the early afternoon, showers and thunderstorms, changing over to snow in the afternoon from northwest to southeast. That rapid changeover occurs during the rush hour tomorrow with snow, windy conditions, and travel impacts evening going into the overnight, and then improving conditions by the time we get into Thursday, maybe even some melting as we head into the afternoon hours as temperatures get into the upper 30s to lower 40s. Some showers enter the forecast Friday going into Friday night, and another weather system brings rain changing over to wet snow Sunday night going into Monday, although that weather system does not look like it will be as strong as the weather system on Wednesday. And also to point out, Jacob will be here tomorrow morning with a fresh forecast. Jacob will be here at noon. I'm coming in at noon, staying through the afternoon, and Blaze and myself will be here tomorrow evening to watch our alert day conditions evolve in southern Wisconsin.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. And as always, News 3 Now and CBS, we are your home for March Madness starting on Thursday at 11. That'll mean some programming changes. If you're not a basketball fan, you'll still be able to find your favorite News 3 Now newscasts always streaming on our Channel 3000 and Channel 3000 Plus apps, along with our sub-channel Television Wisconsin 3.2. If you will be watching hoops, our newscast will air in special times after March Madness on CBS. The graphic on your screen here explains where you can find what newscast and when. We'll also have all that information available on our website, channel3000.com.
And still to come in sports, John Tonje joined an extremely exclusive club today that less than 10 Badgers have ever been a part of. I'll tell you all about it next in sports. After playing 4 games in 4 days, Wisconsin men's basketball is right back at it. Their first-round matchup with Montana is one of the very first games in the entire NCAA tournament, which Greg Gard says is a good thing. They flew to Denver this afternoon, already getting acclimated to that altitude and recovering from a run in the Big Ten tournament. Greg Gard says now they just wait for that game that can't come fast enough.
Quick turn, go play, right? Don't dwell on, hey, we got to the championship game, we didn't get it done. Now let's go on to next. We get to play in another one. So we just focused on a 14 2-game tournament. So that's what we have. We have to win Thursday if you want to get Saturday. You know, as I've always said, all the bad teams are probably waking up about right now on spring break, you know, somewhere with their feet in the sand, and the really good ones are still playing.
Well, John Tonje joined an incredibly elite group today, becoming just the 9th Wisconsin Badger to make an AP All-American team. The second-teamer averaged nearly 20 points per game this year, leading Wisconsin to their most wins since 2015. And for the Wisconsin women, the portal problems continue. Ronnie Porter, the team's star point guard, announced that she is leaving the program today in yet another massive blow for the Badgers. She's the team's 6th player to enter the transfer portal since the team's head coach, Marissa Mosley, resigned. It is hard to imagine a more exciting game than Friday night's national semifinal. In search of their 8th national title, Wisconsin women's hockey will have one of their biggest border battles ever. The catch, this year's Frozen Four just so happens to be on Minnesota's home ice. This morning, Mark Johnson called it what it is, a true road game, but added that doesn't mean there won't be plenty of Badger Red in the building.
It'll be a good crowd. The one thing about Wisconsin fans, they travel well. I'm sure there'll be a lot of red jerseys and people screaming for us. So if you're a player, Minnesota, Wisconsin, you're a coach, Minnesota, Wisconsin, great atmosphere. 2 great teams going at it. The magnitude of the game, the winning team gets to go on and play for the national championship Sunday. So, I mean, this is what we sign up for, and now we get actually to go through it. So it's exciting.
Well, Green Bay fans have been waiting all offseason for the Packers to make a move for a wide receiver, and this evening they did, but it's not necessarily the star that people may have hoped for. They inked Mecole Hardman to a one-year deal, who will also have a chance to return kicks and punts. Hardman, known for his speed, won 3 Super Bowls in Kansas City. We'll be right back.
Finally tonight, police in Tennessee are investigating a unique robbery. Camera footage of the alleged crime shows the suspects using live snakes to pull it off. According to the sheriff's office there, 4 suspects entered a gas station in Jackson wielding 2 live ball pythons as they confronted the clerk.
They all look so calm, but I'm not very calm. It's not clear whether the non-venomous pythons were used as a distraction or threatening. It just looks sort of like, hey, can I take a picture? Right? Officials are asking the public for help identifying the suspects, though. They say they took off with $400 in CBD oil. They all, maybe that's why they were calm.
It's not quite as scary as guns, so it's, I don't know, snakes?
Yeah.
Not a snake.
I'd probably just say move on.
Right.
You're not getting
what do you want? Whatever. So
Alex is back. Busy day tomorrow for
Busy
your
day
department.
tomorrow. Thunderstorms in the morning, change in the storm track a little further to the south. That means colder air for southern Wisconsin. We're watching an earlier transition of rain, and that could mean more snow in southern Wisconsin. We'll be keeping a close eye on that overnight, and Jacob will have a fresh look at that tomorrow morning. I'll be here at noon, and then Blaze will be joining us tomorrow night.
All right, the whole team on board. Alex, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Have a good night.